Tell me where this stemmed from, how you found kind of this hole in the internet of underrepresented women and minorities on Wikipedia.
Sure. I guess I kind of realized it when I first got into a physics department. My undergrad was a physics degree, and you kind of walk in and you're fresh-faced and naive, and you think everyone's had the same opportunity to do anything. Everyone can go off and become a scientist or an engineer. And you look around you and you see that it's kind of way overrepresented. Men are way overrepresented. The majority of them are white, and pretty much everyone's from a privileged background. If you're going to choose to study a subject like physics at university, chances are you knew a physicist, or you're from a pretty privileged place where you had a really good physics teacher. And I kind of realized as an undergrad that was incredibly unfair, and it really motivated me to want to do something to change it. I kind of got a bit more proactive when I was doing my PhD and really thought, we need to get more people enthusiastic about studying science, but we also need to do a better job of celebrating the scientists and engineers that we have. Those women, those minorities who have broken through, those people who are in leadership positions, or they're professors, or they're, chief meteorologists on a network. We really need to be honoring and celebrating them equally to their male counterparts. And so I was motivated, I was compelled. I was talking about people when I was giving lectures, and whether that was to high school students or members of the public, wherever I could, I was interspersing these little stories. And then I realized I had to take it one up, and Wikipedia is this kind of perfect platform for doing that. So Wikipedia is, this democratized access, open access platform for knowledge sharing. But it has a huge problem, and that huge problem is that the majority of people who contribute to it are men. The majority of people who contribute to it are actually white men from the Northern Hemisphere, especially from North America. And so topics about things like the global South, or women, or minorities are just massively underrepresented, not just scientists and engineers, but just if anything is to do with women, it's unlikely to be on the site. When I started editing, or when I learned to edit in kind of the end of 2017, it was about 17% biographies of women across all fields. That's who the world deems as notable. 51% of the population, and according to Wikipedia's notability criteria, only about less than 1/5 of the notable people in the world. And I just knew that wasn't true. And I was also really determined to try and change it. So at the beginning of 2018, I started every single day writing Wikipedia biographies of scientists and engineers from historically marginalized groups. And it was just amazing. It's like a drug, right? Like, on the one hand, I'm doing something that's really honoring them, and I love seeing people get recognition. It's my favorite thing in the world if they've done something awesome. But at the same time, I'm like learning every single night. I'm learning a new field of science, or a different state, or like an obscure high school that someone went to, and you get to do all that learning as well. And I think it kind of inspired so much in me, and an appreciation of history and archives and all of this. So yeah, I realized it, I had to act on it, and it's just been so much fun.
I mean, I know I have a child, and when he does a research project, the first thing he does is go to Wikipedia. So this is having probably immediate impact, right?
Yeah, it does. And it has impact in the kind of the sweetest and most kind of subtle ways. So when you certainly when we were younger and we were at school, and you'd kind of go on Wikipedia maybe, and you'd search through notable alumni from your school or something like that. And usually, because Wikipedia was dominated by men, that would be a whole bunch of old men, or notable alumni from your university would be a whole bunch of old men. And now you go on and you see way more people from diverse backgrounds who are in those lists. Or when a high school teacher is putting together a display for a classroom, they have all of those people who they before wouldn't have had access to information about, because no high school teacher is going to trawl through the pages of Harvard's bioengineering department. They're going to go on Wikipedia to try and get that information and that content. So yeah, you have this kind of immediate, quite subtle way of taking information to people who could potentially be inspired, or could put that person forward for an award, or is arranging a conference and needs to find an expert in optical materials to invite, and now has someone who's from a much more diverse background than they'd originally thought. So yeah, in kind of sneaky and subtle ways, it's really powerful.
So this sounds time consuming. I know you've been working on it for several years. Do you have helpers? How can we learn how to do this and help with this mission?
I mean, editing Wikipedia is so simple that it sounds like a ridiculous thing when I say I learned how to edit, because all you do is, instead of being on the tab that says read, you click the tab that says edit, and then it's basically like a word interface. You know, it's a really simple thing to get used to and to familiarize yourself with. I would say to start small. If you want to start editing, you know, go to pages that you know could be improved, whether that's about a person or a town or a topic, and start just improving it, bring things up to date, add some references in, maybe improve some of the grammar, because some editors edit, you know, after a long day in the lab and may not have spelt everything perfectly. You know, go and put that time in it and do that, and then start to create new pages or translate pages out of English into other languages, because that's super powerful too. I find that it is so kind of motivating to learn these things and discover these things, that actually it kind of keeps you going. So it's such a kind of great rush to be able to put content online and take information to people. The fantastic thing about it is there's a phenomenal editing community. There's great communities for people who want to improve representation or specific topics, maybe, that you can find by going to the wiki communities part of it. But actually, yeah, I just work now. I'm part of an organization, a nonprofit called 500 Women Scientists, and we've been training science editors and women-focused editors all around the world to write pages about women and gender minorities for Wikipedia in all different languages, so that everyone can get as much information as possible.
Do you have any advice to young women who are struggling with this every day, or young girls who are hoping to go into the field?
Yeah, I think probably the advice would be different. If you're a young girl hoping to go into the field, please come. We desperately need you. Science needs your creativity and your enthusiasm and your commitment and your ingenuity, because we really need to make discoveries to save this planet, and also to protect and learn from each other. So please come in. If you are a young woman working in science and you're experiencing challenges, or if someone isn't listening to you, or if you find that you consistently have your ideas stolen by your male colleagues, it's super annoying, but please don't let it end your scientific career. Find a network of women, whether that's online or offline. Find a network of people, I should say, who will listen to you and who will amplify your message, and who will take that complaint to people who need to hear it and act on it. Because I think collectively, we have the power to change this. We've seen it with Black Lives Matter. We saw it with Time's Up. When we come together and start to call for something to end and call for injustice to end, people in senior positions start to listen. So please don't lose faith, don't lose heart. Science absolutely 100% needs you, but we have to join up to take on these challenges.